hello. I know my hair looks like shit, but I just haven't the time to do it today. So just leave me alone. I know some of you are going to be like, oh, it looks fine. It looks prettier than usual, but you have bad taste and should shut up. That's what you get for complimenting me and being nice. You have bad taste and should shut up. That's what you get. Never compliment me again unless I want you to, then do. But if I don't want you to, then don't. It's that fucking simple. Okay. Anyway, so, I had some dreams. So, yeah, so they were interesting. I really liked the assortment of dreams that I had last night. They weren't, I mean, they were just interesting, I think. They just had very interesting vibes, and I felt fairly happy in most of them. Like, I don't recall feeling very sad, except for one of them at the very end, but we'll get to that, you know. But anyway, so the first one was, it took place, I was at school, but I was watching a video, on my phone, and it was like, apparently I had been doing this for a while, like I'd gotten into a routine of watching, these sorts of videos on my phone, of like, a very old, it's like, it was like a dance class. It was a dance class for children, and well, teenagers. Yeah, dance class for teenagers, like in high school or something. And it was recorded, like it would record the classroom, and, yeah, and so therefore I was watching it on my phone, you know, yeah. And like, the interesting thing about it was like it took place in the past, like I think it took place in the 60s, like the early to mid 60s, maybe around like 64, 65, somewhere around there. And it was interesting because it was like is that the right word, integrated? Like it was racially integrated rather than segregated. And there were 3 black students, all of which were male. They were all black boys. And but simultaneously, though I was watching the video on my phone, I was also in the class, like, because consciousness when you're dreaming is a little weird, and sometimes, like, one minute you're just watching something from an outside perspective, and then the next minute you're actually in that scenario, and that's how it was. So, you know, it kind of just shifted until I was in the class, and I remember feeling weird as a student being in this class where there were only 3 black students, when I was used to, like, going to school with... Okay, no, here's what it was. So you know how I do maladaptive daydreaming and stuff like that? So in the dream, I was maladaptively daydreaming that I was fantasizing about being in this class that I was watching in the video, and like, so in this daydream, within a real dream, I was imagining how I would feel and think about that, and I felt a bit weird that there were only, oh my god, my mom's screaming at the cats. Anyway, I felt weird that there were only 3 black students in my class, since I was used to, like, you know, going to schools that were mostly black and stuff like that for most of my life, you know? Like, it was like... And 3 black students was considered, like, very progressive, considering this was the 60s, and, like, you know, in places... You know what's embarrassing? I actually don't know what year segregation became illegal. Or did it even happen all at once? Like, when did it become illegal in schools? I've literally been taught this, and I just don't remember. That's embarrassing as hell. I wish I knew. That sucks, dude. I know that, slavery was abolished in 1865. Like, that's the official year, as, like, I think, yeah. That's what I've always heard. But I don't know about, you know, segregation, when it was made illegal, or whatever. Anyway, there were a lot of racial things going on in this class, though. Like, for example, at one point, one of the black students, he put on, like, minstrel kind of makeup on. Like, you know how, like, minstrel performers sometimes were black people? Like, I'm pretty sure that's true, but they would still have makeup on that, like, exaggerated their features into, like, a grotesque caricature and stuff. As far as I know, I might be wrong about that, but I think that's what happened. Like, sometimes, often it was just white people pretending to be black people and doing the makeup and stuff, blackface and everything. But other times, I think it was black people doing blackface, like, however you want to put it. I could be wrong about that, though. I am really showcasing my ignorance in this video. Very embarrassing. Anyway, so this black student was doing blackface, or however you want to think of it, and, like, it was exaggerated with, like overdrawn pink lips to, really just, yeah. And, stuff like that, and, like, really dark, like, black face paint, to really exaggerate it and make it grotesque and all that. I mean, not grotesque in the sense that, like, being a black person is grotesque, like, no, but, like, in the sense that it was exaggerated beyond reality in a very offensive way, if that makes sense. Like, like, doing stuff, making facial features that, like, very few, if any, humans even have at all. Like, to, like, essentially dehumanize them and all that. Very, very offensive stuff. So, but the thing is, he was doing this in the middle of a performance and stuff. Like, he just kind of had this face paint on, and, like, some white students and the other two black students, they all kind of agreed, sort of nonchalant and casually, that, like, he was doing something racist. Like, he was doing something racist as a black person, because I think, in my opinion, like, anyone is capable of that sort of thing. Like, in my opinion, black people can be racist, both to other races and to black people themselves. Like, you can have internalized racism, just as, gay people can have internalized homophobia, or women can have internalized sexism, etc., etc. And, so yeah, anyway, the students were like, hey, that's kind of racist, dude, what are you doing, But they had that kind of tone where they were like, hey, man, what are you doing? That's crazy, Like, they weren't like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Stop it! No, they were like, what? Stop that, you lunatic. Nah, don't do that. It was like that. And, it was funny, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, so that was the first dream. The second, I don't actually have a super good memory of, like, which ones happened in which order, so I'm just gonna tell it in kind of a random order, the order that I feel like I remember it happening in. So in another one, I was, like, playing outside all by myself. In fact, I think I'd ran away from home. I've been having recently, like, kind of frequent dreams about running away from home, which is interesting, because that hasn't really been on my mind or anything, but, I've had dreams about just running away and, doing stuff and being free and all that, or, like, ditching school. I've also had a lot of dreams about, like, just, skipping school, like, stuff like that. So, yeah, but, which has also not really been on my mind. I've done it before, like, once. But, anyway, so back to the dream. So I was playing around outside, and it was, like, raining and stuff. I think it was raining? Maybe not, I don't know. But, it was, like, a nice rain. Like, I felt kind of happy in it. I was, like, playing in it, splashing in those little puddles and all that. Splish splash. And, I went over by this pond, and, it was very beautiful, and in the pond there were lots of salamanders, lots of salamanders of various ages. Like, some of them were adults, and some of them were babies, and some of them were like teenage salamanders, you know. And he was very cute, and I was so happy. I was like, I'm gonna have one as a pet. So I picked one up. I picked up one of the baby ones, and I was like, you're gonna be my pet now. Like, it wasn't... Okay, I think it was actually more like a teenage salamander, because, like, it didn't still have the gills and everything. But it was quite small, so I think it was like a, you know, like a juvenile. It was like a, you know, an adolescent, I guess. And, I was like, I'm gonna have you as a pet. And I was playing with the salamander and, like, feeding it food, because, like, in the dream I had this realization that, like, yeah, salamanders eat basically anything, which I don't know is true. In real life, I don't know if salamanders eat anything. Like, they might have a very specific diet, but in the dream I was like, yeah, the salamanders, they'll eat anything, so you can just eat whatever, little salamander. And I was giving him, like, sticks, like, just fucking sticks, and, like, little leaves and stuff, and, like, I don't even know if salamanders are, like, if they even eat vegetables in real life, like, vegetation, you know, plants. Do they eat plants in real life? I don't know. Do they eat plants? Do they eat meat? Do they eat both? I don't know. But in the dream, they eat anything. So, he was eating stuff, and then something terrible happened. I gave him chewing gum. What? A salamander eating chewing gum? What the fuck? Yeah, that's what happened. I put it in his mouth, and then he stopped moving. And I was like, what's going on? And I opened his mouth, and the gum was just stuck in the back of his throat. He had choked to death and was dead. So I was very sad, and then I woke up. Yeah, so that's how that dream ended. And then I had this other one where I wasn't in this dream. I wasn't in this dream at all. It was, like, completely from a third-person perspective. But not, like, in the sense that I was watching a video or anything. I was just kind of non-existent. Like, I was just watching this happen. Like, my consciousness was aware of it, but I wasn't there. I didn't exist, you know? Anyway, so the dream was this... if I could estimate the time period, I would say maybe like 1900s, 1910s. It was an old-timey kind of scene, and there were these two women, a mother and a daughter, and the daughter was like a teenager, like a kind of older teenager, and the mother was, she was kind of younger, but, like, she wasn't like an old woman. She was still kind of beautiful for her age. Like, she was, you know, the age a mother would be, you know, with a teenage daughter, you know, appropriate age, but, like, she had aged very well, and she was still very much, like, kind of a bit glamorous, very, concerned with her appearance in a way, like, don't think of her as, like, that sort of trope of, like, a vain old woman with a daughter where, like, you know, like the evil queen or whatever in, like, Snow White. She wasn't like that at all. She was kind. She was a kind woman, and she seemed to have a good relationship with her daughter. But, she just happened to care about her appearance, which is okay. It's okay. I think that caring about one's appearance is a pretty neutral thing. Like, you shouldn't have to. But you shouldn't have to not care. Like, you know, I don't think the moral thing is to give a shit or not give a shit. Like, it's an amoral thing. It's amoral. But what's immoral is making other people give a shit or not give a shit. Like, imposing your opinions on others. Just let people do what they want, is my thing. Like, just let people do what they want. But this is very off topic. Anyway, so the daughter was doing the mother's makeup and her hair and stuff, and she was actually cause, like, I think the deal was that, like, the mother wanted to kind of look, young and beautiful, and she wanted to kind of look a little bit like the way that younger women were looking at the time. Like, she wanted to get help from her daughter because she wanted to kind of, you know, look a little bit more young and, like, I don't know, kind of have that style that younger women had at the time, you know what I mean? Younger women and, like, I guess older teenagers and stuff like that, So she was getting help from her daughter, and so the daughter was like doing her makeup and like cutting her hair and stuff. And but the thing about it is that all this scene, the whole scene was like animated. I forgot to mention that it wasn't live action. It was an animated like cartoon, and the art style was very beautiful. The color palette was like kind of muted. Like there were colors, it wasn't like black and white, but it was a muted color palette, and it looked very calming and soft, and it was beautiful. And like I think there might have been music in the background as well. There might have been, there might not have been, I don't remember, but if there was, it was like old-timey, like time period appropriate, and very just nice and just classy and lovely. And that was a nice dream, It was just a cute thing that there's just a couple of women just, you know, being being nice to each other. It's just nice to see girls supporting girls. And especially considering the time period, like, the inequality that women faced at the time makes it makes one think of women as being intrinsically like sad and angry and stuff like that. Like when you think of old-timey women in the past, I personally imagine them being sad and being miserable and being angry at all the, society's expectations. And there was a little bit of that in the dream, because you could argue that they're like conforming to gender roles by, caring about their appearances and wearing makeup and like stuff like that. To be honest, I don't know how taboo or accepted makeup was during during that era. So that might be a little bit inaccurate. I don't know, because like I know makeup has existed for like so fucking long, like basically since human beings have existed. But I don't know, that might be an exaggeration, by the way. But I know it's existed for a hell of a long time in many cultures. But I just don't know how socially acceptable it was. Because, like, these women, they were meant to be a bit well-to-do, They were meant to be a bit, like, classy. Not, like, royalty or even aristocrats, but, like, classy women, I would say. Not, like, low-down harlots or anything like that. Not little fucking sluts, They're meant to be kind of classy, yet glamorous and beautiful, And, yeah. So anyway, I just think that was a pleasant dream. And, yeah, that's really all I have to say now. Those are all the dreams I had that I could remember. Goodbye.